So, capitalism. Everyone's doing it. It's one of the biggest success stories in the modern world, and I'm sure that everyone can agree that one of the main reasons it is so successful is that it is very ruthlessly efficient in coming up with new and better ways of making more money. Which, of course, naturally leads me to pseudoscience. I'll explain. Now, this is such a complex concept to get across that it's going to require a change of angle and a whiteboard. Now, before some of you start flexing your little trolling fingers, I'm not about to start debunking pseudoscientific claims as such. What I'm inviting you to do is to come at it from a bit more of a positive angle and come on a thought experiment with me. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is the pseudoscientific claims, who stands to benefit financially if they do work, and if they actually do. On to the first phenomena. The first phenomena is remote viewing. This is the ability to see places or things that you are not currently in the vicinity of. I mean, imagine for a moment that there were actually people in the world who could genuinely use this skill, to whom this was no different than, say, rolling for perception. Imagine what a tremendous boon this would be to people who are prospecting for oil. That's a 2. Right, you've rolled 2. Okay, you are dimly aware that there might possibly be some oil in the Gulf of Mexico. I mean, imagine if you could train people to do this. It would be the ultimate ace in the hole for green tourism. Why would you bother getting on a plane to go and see the world when you could just project yourself there? Of course, there would be the more seedy side of it. I mean, if the porn industry got hold of this, then that would be like this whole new other world of perversion you could open up in women's toilets across the world. So, we have remote viewing. We have the people who stand to benefit and make a killing from it if it actually works. That's oil companies, tourism boards, and the porn industry. Do they? No. Okay, onwards, and on a related note, dowsing. Again, this would benefit the oil companies, but think of the massive humanitarian impact it would have if, in drought-stricken parts of Africa, you could reliably detect sources of water. And once again, if you apply this to the mundane, then you have got an absolutely surefire, infallible way of never ever losing your car keys again. Or even finding the exact correct item you were looking for at the supermarket. So again, with dowsing here we've got the people who stand to have a massive financial benefit if it actually proves viable, and once again, unfortunately, we really don't see any evidence of any of them actually doing it. Okay, next up, auras. This is the ability to sense, diagnose, and even treat certain ailments by manipulating a non-corporeal energy field surrounding all living beings. Imagine how much it would shorten NHS waiting lists if all you had to do was basically walk in the door, the doctor makes a quick sense check. That's a 10. And be able to say, you need a kidney transplant. Or even in parts of the world that don't have nationalised healthcare, imagine how much money it would save people if they were able to detect these early, hard-to-discover signs of serious illnesses that early on, just by looking at somebody. I mean, it would almost render trying to find a cure for cancer redundant if you could do that. Also, imagine if you could tell things about just the way people are through auras. That would open up a whole new world of possibility into the depth of relationship you could have with people. So with auras, we've got the absolutely incomparable benefit it would provide to the healthcare system wherever you are in the world, combined with the equally profound benefit it would have to discovering the human condition. And yet, still, there's no real signs of that being viable. So, I'm afraid that's another one. Okay, next up we've got a big one. Homeopathy. Okay, a bit of a scene change was required for this demonstration, but in brief, the 4 principles of homeopathy are: the more you dilute something, the stronger it becomes. Jesus. 2. Substances that cause a certain symptom can, in minute amounts, cure that same symptom. 3. The properties of one substance can be transferred to another substance. Which brings us on to 4. Water has a memory. Now, if this worked, we'd have to pretty much throw away the book as far as physics is concerned. But imagine this. This water that has come out of your tap at home has been around for billions and billions of years. So it's been round and round in the water cycle for so long that it's come into contact with an awful lot of itself. And if you think about it, all of our waters are either in the sea or in the sky. And they've been on the land at some point, and so they've come into contact with certain substances during that time, and they transfer the properties of that substance on to the next substance, and so on and so on. So, theoretically, everything that comes out of here has been into contact with practically every known possible element known to man. So that would be the ultimate medical goldmine. I mean, imagine if all you had to do in order to cure AIDS or prevent infection or even just get rid of that bad case of the willies you've been having is have, just a little bit of fruit cordial. Actually, no, that's a bit weak. I like mine clear. So once again, the most dangerous, virulent diseases could perhaps just be cured by a simple glass of water. But also, imagine the cost reduction it would have in actually manufacturing medicines if all you needed was the tiniest, merest, minutest piece of ingredient in order to make it stretch so far. The average homeopathic remedy has maybe possibly 1 or 2 molecules of the original ingredient in it. Think about how far that would mean the original ingredient would stretch. So again with homeopathy, the potential health and humanitarian benefits are incalculable. But if anything, just the opposite has been shown. There are some heartbreaking stories out there of people who have taken homeopathic remedies for things and subsequently died of the disease that these remedies were supposed to be protecting against, and these diseases were entirely preventable by conventional medicine. From one controversial subject to another. Remote prayer. This is the ability for somebody to be healed or cured of an illness through the power of prayer. Now, every scientific trial that has ever been done into the healing power of prayer has been at best unconclusive. But imagine if, just before you were going to go into the operating theatre, say, all the doctor had to do would be make a religion check. Okay, nurse, is the patient prepared? Right, just 1 second. Did you remember to put in my modifier for the fact I was a choir boy? Yes, okay, I think he's going to be fine. If we take faith out of the equation here, and just say that we actually knew there were people who were able to, on a regular basis, use the power, or channel the power of a divine entity in order to heal people, it would be fantastic! I mean, you wouldn't have medics in the army, you'd have paladins, for fuck's sake! It would mean that, in essence, there was no real difference between using your religious muscles to using your physical muscles. It would be like using the Force. So this one has been actually very hard for me to define, really, because remote prayer has obvious implications for health, what with faith healing and everything else, but there's pretty much nothing it couldn't apply to. So health and everything, really, if you could monetize that somehow, but no. Unfortunately, all it seems to have done so far is provide what I believe health insurance companies refer to as negative patient care outcome. Up next, psychic energy. I mean, if you thought that remote prayer was like using the Force, I mean, imagine what would happen if you could use the power of your mind to power things. I mean, you'd never have to charge your iPhone again, and there'd be entire industries you could run purely off of British moaning. Oh, that bloody light, oh, it's okay again now. So yeah, free, unlimited electrical power. I mean, you could do away with gas and coal and nuclear power stations and just run it off of a couple of, you know, Daily Mail columnists or something. Also, exactly the same thing could apply to crystal energy. See? So if you could harness the power of crystal and psychic energy, the potential for technological innovations is practically limitless, as is the possibility for completely free, renewable, unlimited, clean power. But unfortunately, again, we don't seem to have got very far on that. Next up, a favourite of the superstitious and the bored housewives, astrology and tarot. Have you ever noticed that most astrologers don't actually predict the future? I know, shock horror, but imagine if they could. That would mean that, you know, financial planning, the stock market, would be an absolute doddle. You know, it would mean that you could prevent indefinitely any type of financial crisis and end the problem of boom and bust. Also, on a personal level, if instead of saying, Aries, today at work or possibly at home, you should perhaps let somebody in your family or a close friend have their way. Instead of that, if you could do it really, really personal, like say, Meg Norris, stay away from the Frappuccino at work tomorrow. It may look like it's dairy-free, but actually they've put half and half in it, and if you drink it, you're going to spend the next 3 days regretting it. Also, with tarot on a personal level, think about if you could find out if a business venture, or even a personal relationship, a romance even, you know, was going to work out. You could just pick one card out of the pack and go, I'd advise against it. Is the army a good career choice? Doubtful. Useful, practical advice that would help you stay out of danger and improve your life. It'd be great. And also, let's not forget with predictions, you know, 3, 5, 7, 1. Your lottery numbers, by the way, and go down to bookies and bet on the Mafia-backed second favourite in the Grand National. Name's Roller Joint.